walked onto the practice field, what were some of the differences that just jumped out at you between high school and college? I know when I had relayed that to you when I went to the University of Pittsburgh, I thought I was very well prepared. I came out of a tough league, was by far the best player on our team, and was highly recruited. And I went to the University of Pittsburgh, and the first week I went to summer camp, I was just, you know, blown away by the size, the speed, the athleticism, and how much older everybody seemed than me. And I had never been in that situation before, and quite honestly, I did not do well my freshman year at all. And did you notice some of that?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think coming from North Penn, it was run like a small college program. I mean, you see the number of kids that come out of here and play college football. You coached a lot of great guys and put them in those spots. So going out there and seeing guys that I recognized with Jim was a nice, comfortable feeling for me. But then also you look at the size of the offensive line. We had a big offensive line in high school, the national championship, even my senior year. But you look at, there's 10 guys that weigh 300 pounds and are 6'4", 6'5". And then you look at the speed of the running backs. We had fast guys back there too. But these guys were the best of the best, and they were there for a reason. And I think the biggest thing that I was intrigued by was how hard the defense hit. I mean, in high school, you got guys playing both ways, but in college, Division I, you got guys on just one side of the ball, and these guys are coming to take your head off every single snap.
That's a great point, John. That's one of the things I noticed also is the intensity and the speed of everybody on the defensive line and what they brought to each hit. And tell me about how you broke in as a kicker, though. Your 2005 year was basically kind of a learning experience, and then it's 2006. I know you and me, we've talked many times prior to this, you were going to think about actually 2006 transferring at the end of that season. You and me talked many times about looking for another school. We actually started doing some homework and trying to get a list of 5 or 6 schools because we thought that not only did they have an incumbent that was a scholarship player there, but they then broke the news to you, you being a walk-on, paying your own way, that they were bringing in a second scholarship kicker at that time. So we started talking about some other options, but at some point in the 2006 season, you got a break. Can you just let us know a little bit about that and how you moved up the depth chart?
I'd say the first thing when I found out they were going to bring another scholarship kicker, it was almost the writings on the wall. You know, the head coach doesn't really know my name at this point. I've been there for 2 years, and I do okay, and I'm competing with these guys, but it's hard to do that when you've got a kid who's your own class, who's going to be there for 4 years, all scholarship, and they've got a new guy they think is going to be the future of this program. So I guess you look at it like when you and I spoke about finding a different school, it was time to, you know, cut your losses and say, you know, if I can't play here, I've got to play somewhere. And when we looked at different schools and everything, I found places that I enjoyed, places that I liked. But I was lucky that year, actually. You know, I just kept my focus and tried to do all the right things off the field and on the field that would, you know, prevent a walk-on from ever being part of a team. You know, as a walk-on, you have a short string, and they're not going to deal with social incidences or not doing well in the classroom. So I had to do all the right things there that kept me around. You know, if I wasn't kicking the ball great, okay, I was tutoring other guys in the team that helped. Or I'd come to practice and you never had to worry about what I was doing. I'd always be doing my work, that's it, not distracting the other players. And what happened was a few off-the-field incidents caught up to one of our other kickers, a starter. And, you know, there were a few things that were a big problem, and they were just inexcusable. And I think that, you know, you can only take so much as a coach. You give a kid opportunities, and if you just keep, you know, squandering them and letting them slide, at what point do you question his commitment to the program?
So he was let go from the team. You got an opportunity then in the spring football of 2006. Did you come out of the spring football? Were you #1 at the end of 2006?
I'm the only kicker in spring camp that year, and I had a good spring. It was definitely the best I've ever done kicking a football, and I might want to say, you know, I focused in a little harder knowing this was my chance. I leave spring football, and coach says, okay, well, we'll move forward from this point. You're going to challenge the incoming freshman. So I said, okay, that's fine. You know, I took care of business in the springtime, got in the radar, got the coaches to know who I was, and feel that, you know, I could possibly give them a chance to win games. Camp comes along, yeah, pretty good competition with the kid they bring in from Jersey, Carey, a good friend of mine now, and we really kind of went at it for the first weeks of camp. And I just took it one day at a time, one kick at a time, realized that I was just plugging away, just doing all the right things, making field goals from 40 and in, that's all they wanted to see. So we did that, we did kickoffs, and at the end of camp, they started having a more concrete feeling that I could actually perform at a Division I level.
Right. Well, you won the job coming out of the spring ball. You come into 2007, they have a freshman kicker that's on scholarship. And again, they're questioning whether you can be the guy, but you win the job again in summer camp of 2007. Then you go on to have what is really a magical football season. I mean, one of the, I've been around the game for a long time. One of the most fairy tale stories of all time. You go from being a walk-on kicker who less than 6 months ago you and me were talking about transferring to having a monster season, which correlates with Delaware winning a lot of games and going all the way to the national title game and losing. But you hit 21 of 24 field goals, 64 out of 67 extra points. You lead the nation in points scored, establish new school records for field goals and extra points, and become first-team All-American. I remember I was so excited for you. I was out with my wife having dinner, and we saw ESPN, a ticker, and it said 1AA first-team All-American, and I'm just nonchalantly watching it, and all at once I jumped up and said, John Striefsky just made first-team All-American. And if you remember, I called you the next day. Talk about that year. That must have been, you had to pinch yourself at some point to say, my God, 6 months ago I'm thinking about leaving, now I'm the #1 kicker in the nation.
I guess it was more of a how fast a tide can change. You think for a while you're going to leave, you're thinking about other schools, okay, what do I have to do to help me, make the next right steps. I got on the field the first game, we played William & Mary, it was Thursday night, the first game of the CAA conference in history. So they had this big flyover with all these planes, they dropped a parachute guy with football and everything. So we don't get to experience all this, but my parents are telling me about it. It's all hyped up and down there in Williamsburg. And I get in the field for the first extra point, and my heart's pounding. It was pounding harder than it was in high school, that first kick I had. And after I got that first one, I was like, okay, well, we worry about one at a time. Made the first one, let's get the second one. So the season starts going along, we're winning games, and we're watching a great quarterback, Joe Flacco that year. We've got an All-American running back who scored 40 touchdowns. So I'm on the field a lot. I guess my third or fourth game, they finally let me go into the field goal. Well, like I said, one at a time, thinking, just worry about this one, and then the rest will take care of itself. Made those, and before you know it, I've got a streak of 15 in a row going. And, it's the longest streak in Delaware history now standing. And with that, you kind of think about, okay, well, I'm doing a lot of things right, and now what can I possibly do, that's wrong. You come to a point where you're like, okay, well, I'm going high. When is the low going to come?
Right.
We play Richmond in a 6 overtime game. And I hit the field goal at the end of the second overtime, where their kicker ties. Fourth overtime comes around, and they don't score in the first possession, and I get to go kick a 35-yard field goal, and I clank it off the upright. And all of a sudden, it comes down, it's like, all right, well, I got 15 in a row, but I didn't win this game. We lose that game, we lose our shot at the conference championship. And I'm like, okay, I'm bummed out now. And it's tough. So you ride the highs and you got to ride the lows. And I remember sitting in that press conference saying, you give me all the credit for making these, let's not put it on anybody else for missing this with me. And I think at that point, I gained a lot of respect from the guys around me and said, I'll take the good and the bad, and I'll take it on me too when it's my problem.
Right.
But then you look at the playoffs, we go up, we play the #1 team in the country, and we rebound. And I have my first 2 extra points blocked. We're playing in a dome in front of 10,000 people, and maybe the loudest stadium I've ever played in, against the biggest guys I've ever seen. And they blocked my first 2 extra points, but I come back in the third and fourth quarter and hit a 47-yard field goal. And I think at that point, it was, okay, well, can you overcome the adversity you're going to see within a season? And that's when I realized, that, okay, well, you're going to have good, you're going to have bad, but it's how you come back the next day and deal with it. And we make a run to the national championship and go